making Thursday things, we're making Thursday things, we're making Thursday, yeah. Things we're making Thursday things, we're making Thursday things, we're making Thursday, yeah. A year-long color-free pattern each month if you want to join along. Anyone can do it, there is nothing to it, we are here to help you out. Things we're making Thursday things, we're making Thursday things, we're making Thursday, yeah. Things we're making Thursday things, we're making Thursday things, we're making Thursday, yeah.
Hey everybody, my name is Shannon and you're watching another yarn. And you heard the jingle, things we're making Thursday, things we're making Thursday, things we're making Thursday, yeah! All right, so this is a collaboration. Multiple YouTube channels have gotten together and we are making a free pattern. We do this every single month. So check out my description box and go ahead and support all the other YouTubers that are doing this. And you can see what they're doing with their particular project. This month, we're making a bucket hat. I made one last week and I showed that to you. And let me show that one again, right here. Got it on my nice little mannequin. And discussed a little bit more about this one. This one was Lion Brand tape yarn, since the pattern does call for a Raffia yarn and I didn't have any of that. So I used the Rewind tape yarn right here. Very, very soft, a lot softer than I expected because I hadn't touched it. It was just some plastic wrap. And it is a flat tape yarn. They call it a bulky weight just because of the the property of that particular yarn. No big deal. So I made the first one with that. Really happy with it. And still don't have any Raffia yarn. And I realized after doing that first one, there were some things that I wanted to do to tweak it. The pattern itself, the largest round goes to, or the largest round, the crown of your head, has 64 single crochets, or not single, half double crochets. So 64, it's not that big. So if you don't have a really decent gauge or a good substitution for your Raffia yarn, it's going to be really small. A lot of people are using cotton yarn, some acrylic. I've seen some funnel cakes being used, blossom cakes, whatever cottons that you have. Cotton seems to be winning the day. And I, on my stash diving Saturday, went through and I found some cotton yarns I hadn't played with in years. This is a Michael's cotton yarn that they discontinued. It was on their end cap and it's called Yarn Gang. Now let's see. So here we go. Yarn Gang, right? And these were great little balls of yarn. They were 79 yards to them, 50 grams. It's a 60% cotton and a 40% acrylic. You can machine wash it and you can dry it. I've made multiple amigurumis out of it. It did have, way back in the day, some pattern support. I bought the patterns and I made a couple stuffed critters with it. And when they were clearancing it, like a lot of other yarn collectors, right? Yarn collectors, right? I went and bought as many as I could. I believe it went down to like 50 cents a ball. So I got a bunch of them in all the different colors. Why not use it for a hat? And when I was looking at this for my Saturday stash dive, I thought it would be fantastic. I really did. And look at these colors. We got that orange, bright yellow, the two different colors of blue. So I thought, let me do a striped hat and see how it turns out with cotton or cotton acrylic blend to see how this works. So I don't have this one finished, but I have been working on it. Look at that. You like that? So when I was talking about that with the circumference of the hat going around in the rounds, the biggest round per pattern is 64 stitches. And that's this dark blue one right here. That's that one. So my second dark blue got me to that 64 stitch mark. And I wanted it to fit me, not a baby. I wanted it to fit an adult head. So I continued around doing the exact same increases for another 4 rounds. And I think this will be fine at this point. So these are just all half double crochets. And you can see here's my join line right here. How do you join your stuff? I think that's a really good join line. It's not super obvious. I've carried my yarn on the inside, so I don't have tons of ends. I will obviously have the 4 ends because I'm using 4 colors. Well, 8 because obviously both ends. But either way, that's nowhere near as many as if I were changing the color each particular round. So what I've done is when I've come to that last stitch, I've caught it on this side right here on the next to the last stitch. I've crocheted over the thread I'm going to be adding in, and then did my last stitch and was able to pull through. So you can see I've got this right here with the yellow coming through. So on that final stitch, so it does have a cleaner look, you'll go ahead and work that. Since this is a half double crochet, I would, or the slip stitch, I'm going to slip stitch that to the other one using the new yarn. And that creates less of a, more of a closed off look, less of a jog of the color, being that that is my seam. So if you didn't already know that, you have a new trick, a new something else that you can add to your arsenal. So that was one of the things that I talked about last week. I dropped my hat. Last week when I was looking at doing some differences with my next hat. You'll also notice on this one, you have this very, very defined line here. And for this particular yarn, surprisingly, as soft as it is, it holds its shape really well. And I made this maybe a little too long for me. To me, it seems more like a stovepipe hat. So on the second hat that I'm working on, I've obviously added a lot more stitches because I don't have this gauge. So I've followed the same stuff, just added more stitches. I don't know if I'm going to do this defined ridge. And that's going to be a crocheting in the back loop to get that defined ridge. The pattern tells you to crochet in the front loop. And maybe that is right. We all thought it was wrong. Maybe it is. It does show on the pattern itself. You do see that defined ridge. But if I crocheted on that front loop, it's going to make more of a curve. And that's what I wanted. On this one, it's very defined. And I want on the next one to be more rounded and more like a bucket. So that's my next round. So I'm not real sure. I'll start it and see what I like. You know, I'll get the round, maybe a round or two on it, and decide, do I like that? And you'll see next week what I've done, right? How I've either pulled it out 2 or 3 times to make sure that I like the look of it. So that was one of the things that I was looking at. And then coming down here, I'll probably do a little bit less. And then flaring out, I wanted it to be a wider brim. This one, I followed the stitch count and everything to the pattern, obviously a different yarn, but I did follow the stitch count. On my next one, I'm tweaking it. I'm staying within the spirit of it, but I'm making it my own. So hopefully that's what you do with your things. You do know patterns are suggestions, right? You don't have to follow them 100%. You can. There's nothing wrong with it, but you don't have to. Add your color, add texture, change the stitch count a little bit, use a bigger yarn, use a smaller yarn. Now that will affect your size, right? So something that's like a amigurumi where it doesn't necessarily matter, you might get something this big, you might get something this big, depending on the yarn you're using. If you're good with that, fine. If not, if it's a garment or something that you want to fit a specific person, gauge matters. Otherwise, no. You just make a big one, you'll make a small one. Everyone likes things in miniature anyway. No big deal. So have fun with those types of things. And if you like this and you like this video and you like this flare, check out everyone else. We're all doing something different. We've got different colors and different yarns and different ideas on what we think looks really cool. So join in the yarning community. Check out all the other YouTubers I've got linked in my description and have a blast, everybody. Just have fun. This is crafting. This is yarn. This is massive enjoyment. And oh, wait, you see something up here that you're interested in? Tell me in the comments and maybe I'll add that to my next project. I don't know. They're sitting in my stash. I mean, that's what happened with this stuff. I had no real plans of it and it just jumped on the hooks because I was learning to love my stash again. All right, everybody. You have a great day, evening, night, whatever it happens to be, and I will see you again. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.